Hey, St. I thought today I would try to take on Maya's challenge of telling your origin story. But unlike Maya's family, my family wasn't really home video people. There's exactly one home video of me between the ages of 0 and 18, and it's about a 25 to 30 minute clip of when I was 3 years old at this place that we lived at in Toma. And I don't have access to that right now, and it's also not very interesting. It's just like me running around the backyard and pushing a cart around at some point. So instead, I thought I would tell it with something that I did have access to, which is books. There was a recent art assignment that was to look at someone's library and pull out 3 stacks of books to sort of tell a narrative about them. And I'm not really doing that because I'm doing it about myself and not about somebody else. But for this instance, I'm going to use these 3 stacks of books to sort of tell an origin story. We'll see how this goes. I haven't really thought it out that far ahead yet. In my first stack are the books that made me a reader. When I was a kid, pretty much all I did was read. I was that kid who was up late with a flashlight under the covers just to get in a few more chapters every night. I had at least 40 books in the Boxcar Children's series, probably just as many Goosebump books. I also loved Beverly Cleary and the Animorphs, although I only owned a few of the Animorphs books. And as you can see, James Howe and Bruce Scoville also made my frequently read list as well because they were great. I don't know if you noticed, but these books are well worn. And although most of the books from my childhood are gone now, there's some that I just can't get rid of. As I got older and I started reading longer, more complex books, I fell in love with science fiction. I, Robot was my first introduction to hard sci-fi, and after reading it, I think I read almost every other Asimov book in our high school library. There's a reason he's in the stack twice. Ender's Game was another fantastic science fiction novel, and Neverwhere was my introduction to Neil Gaiman, who isn't a science fiction writer, but his books have that same otherworldly quality. Books like Neverwhere don't take you to another planet, but they might as well. And after reading Neil Gaiman, I discovered the term speculative fiction, which is a more all-encompassing term that includes like fantasy and sci-fi and supernatural elements, and I think that's a better description of what I loved about these books. And finally, my comedy stack. I mentioned in another video that I attribute much of my sense of humor to Hawkeye Pierce from MASH, but these books definitely helped with that. I think that comedy as a genre is super underrated because a cheap laugh is so easy, but comedy that makes you laugh and tells a story and leaves you with something to talk about is really complex, and all of the writers in this pile do it masterfully. Somebody once told me that a story that I wrote for creative writing class reminded them of Douglas Adams, and it was probably one of the best compliments I've ever gotten in my entire life. The strange thing is, since college, reading hasn't really been a huge part of my life. Not fiction, anyway. I blame the internet. And reading is also what got me into writing, which is another thing I don't do a whole lot of anymore, but that's probably a video for another time. So Maya and Leah, huge congratulations on your new opportunities, and Greg, I'll see you soon.